Welcome back to the Revenge Chronicles, the place where real stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and shocking revenge come to life. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you don't want to miss what happens next in today's story. Now, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is something I never imagined could happen in my own family. When my mother-in-law told me I'd never be good enough for her son, I smiled politely, but deep down I made a promise to myself. One day she'd regret ever saying those words. And when that day came, when her perfect little world started to crumble, she didn't even see it coming. Tell me, was I wrong for finally breaking her pride after everything she did to break me? It all started 5 years ago when I married the love of my life, Ethan. He was charming, kind, the kind of man who'd make coffee for me every morning and kiss my forehead before leaving for work. But there was one problem: his mother, Linda. From the very beginning, she saw me as an intruder. The moment I met her, I knew she didn't like me. She gave me that kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes, the kind that hides judgment behind politeness. "Oh, so you're her," she'd said the first time we met. Just that, her. Not my name, not even a greeting. I should have taken that as a warning. At first, I tried to win her over. I brought her flowers on her birthday, baked her favorite pie for Thanksgiving, even invited her to dinner at our place. But every time she'd find something wrong. "You use too much sugar. The crust's too dry. My son prefers my recipe." It became clear that it wasn't about the food, it was about control. She wanted to remind me that no matter what I did, I could never replace her in Ethan's life. Things got worse after Ethan and I bought our first house. We moved 30 minutes away from her, which apparently was too far for her liking. She'd show up unannounced, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. I'd come home from work to find her rearranging my kitchen cabinets or folding our laundry. "Just helping out," she'd say with a smug smile. I told Ethan I wasn't comfortable with it, but he brushed it off, saying, "That's just Mom. She means well." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But then she started crossing lines I couldn't ignore. She'd criticize the way I dressed, the way I cleaned, even the way I talked. Once, during dinner, she looked straight at me and said, "I always pictured Ethan with someone a little classier." I froze. Ethan didn't say a word. He just kept eating. That silence, his silence, cut deeper than her words ever could. Months passed, and I began to feel like a stranger in my own home. I'd wake up tense, wondering what new thing she'd pick on that day. I stopped inviting friends over because she'd always make them uncomfortable. "Oh, you're still friends with her? Interesting." She said things like that with this fake, sweet tone as if she was just curious. I started shrinking. I lost confidence, second-guessing every decision, every outfit, every word. That's what she wanted, to break me. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Ethan had left for a business trip, and I decided to deep clean the house to distract myself. When I went to the bedroom closet, I found something odd. A small jewelry box that didn't belong to me. Inside was a gold bracelet with the initials LM engraved on it. My heart dropped. I didn't wear jewelry like that. I hadn't seen it before. But I'd seen Linda wearing something just like it. Confused, I called Ethan. He sounded nervous, said it must have been left behind when his mom helped organize the house last week. My stomach turned. She'd been in my bedroom. My private space. I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to confront her. The next day, I drove to her house. I walked in. She didn't even look surprised. "Oh dear, I didn't know you were coming," she said, sipping her tea like a queen. I held up the bracelet and asked if it was hers. She didn't flinch. "Of course it is. I left it there on purpose," she said. "I wanted to see how long it would take you to find it. That house doesn't suit you, you know. You're not a homemaker type." I stood there in shock. Who does that? Who plants something just to make a point? I told her she had no right to invade our privacy, but she just smirked and said, "When you marry my son, you marry me." That's when something inside me broke. For months, I'd try to be the bigger person, to stay polite, to avoid conflict. But right then I decided if she wanted a war, I'd give her one. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just smiled and said, "You're right, Linda. I did marry you. And I'll make sure you never forget it." From that day on, I started keeping track of everything. Every insult, every boundary she crossed, every manipulation. I documented everything in a private folder on my phone. I recorded her voice when she called me lazy, took photos when she left her stuff lying around, even kept texts where she complained about me to Ethan. I didn't know what I'd use it for yet, but I knew her mask would slip eventually, and when it did, I'd be ready. Months later, the opportunity came. Ethan's company was hosting a big charity gala, and Linda was on the planning committee. She bragged for weeks about it being her event, saying things like, "I just hope you don't embarrass us with one of your cheap dresses." I bit my tongue, smiled, and said, "Don't worry, Linda. I wouldn't miss it for the world." The night of the gala, everything looked perfect. Glittering lights, champagne glasses, expensive suits. Linda strutted around like she owned the place. But then, during the speeches, something unexpected happened. The event's host mentioned that part of the funds had gone missing from the charity's account, around $10,000. You should have seen Linda's face. She went pale, her eyes darting around. She knew exactly why, because she was the one who'd borrowed it temporarily, thinking no one would notice. How did I know? Because a few weeks earlier, I'd accidentally overheard her bragging about it to one of her friends at lunch, and yes, I recorded it. She'd said, "It's just a transfer, I'll put it back after the gala. No one will ever know." Except now, everyone knew. I'd sent the recording anonymously to the event organizers 2 days before. And when the host played that audio clip over the speakers to assist with the ongoing investigation, the room went dead silent. There was no mistaking her voice. She tried to deny it, but it was too late. People were whispering, staring, taking photos. Ethan looked horrified. That night, she lost everything: her reputation, her committee position, her so-called friends. She left the gala early, humiliated. Ethan didn't speak to her for weeks. When he finally did, she tried to spin it, saying I'd set her up. But he didn't believe her. He'd seen the messages, the proof I'd kept. For the first time, he saw what she'd been doing to me all along. You know that moment when karma finally arrives and it feels both cold and comforting? That was it. But I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The silence was enough. So that's the situation I was in. Years of manipulation, gaslighting, and control, all leading to that one night where she finally faced the consequences of her own actions. Before I tell you what happened after, I want you to think, what would you have done in my place? Would you have exposed her like that or just walked away? Comment below before you hear the rest. After the gala, Linda tried to play the victim. She called me crying, saying I'd ruined her life. She begged me not to tell anyone else, said she was just trying to help the charity and got confused. I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But then I remembered all the times she made me feel small, all the tears I cried alone in my car after her cruel remarks. I told her calmly, "You didn't need my help to ruin your life, Linda. You did that all by yourself." And I hung up. From then on, she stopped visiting. The unannounced pop-ins ended. No more judgmental comments, no more meddling. Ethan eventually reconciled with her, but on new terms. He told her that if she couldn't respect me, she wouldn't be welcome in our home. To my surprise, she agreed. The next time I saw her, she was quieter, humbled, almost human. She even apologized, though it sounded forced. "I guess I underestimated you," she said. I looked her straight in the eyes and replied, "You really did." Life became peaceful again. I started to feel like myself for the first time in years. I focused on my job, my friends, and rebuilding the confidence she'd tried to destroy. Ethan and I grew closer, stronger, even. He finally understood what it meant to stand by me, not just beside me. A few months later, we found out I was pregnant. When we told Linda, she cried, but not in the dramatic, guilt-laden way she used to. This time, it was real. I think she finally realized that her games had cost her time she couldn't get back. She said, "I don't deserve to be part of your child's life, but I hope one day you'll let me try." I didn't answer right away. I just said, "We'll see." Now, years later, I still think about everything that happened. About how one person's need for control can twist love into something toxic. But I also think about how taking back that control, reclaiming your power, can be the most liberating thing in the world. I didn't destroy her, I just held up a mirror and made her face who she really was. So, was I wrong for what I did? Maybe some people will say yes, that revenge is petty, that I should have taken the high road. But honestly, I don't regret it for a second. Because sometimes the only way to stop someone from breaking you is to show them that you're unbreakable. If you were on my side, like this video. If you've ever dealt with a toxic family member who tried to control your life, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories like this. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next story.